I joked to her that my husband's brain is like a brand new 2024 Tesla model, and my brain is like a 1991 dial-up box Windows computer, you know, the kind that came in those big cow boxes. Hey there, it's actually Amanda, a woman living life at the intersection of autism, scoliosis, homeschooling, and real estate. I'm so thankful that you're here. This is my first real video on this channel. And with this being a brand new channel, and for me being brand new at this, I would really appreciate your support with a like, a subscribe, and or a comment down below. I'm new to doing this on YouTube, but you're not new to being here, so you know what to do. And just please know that over time, I promise, I will get better at this. Okay, let's go. So today what I wanted to talk to you guys about is my journey with my autism assessment and how I became a late diagnosed autistic person at 36 years old. So all of my life I kind of grew up knowing that like something was different, that something about me wasn't the same as other people. But I literally had no words. I really didn't know how to describe it other than just that like I'm different. Certain things bother me, certain things make me tick, certain things really upset me that don't seem to bother or upset other people around me. I actually even remember telling my husband, like back when we very first started dating, that I was different than most girls out there. Had no way to describe what that meant, but just that that's what it was. I was different. So anyways, I was born in 1987, and I know that there was not a lot of autism diagnosis and assessments happening in the late 80s and early 90s when I was a child. Plus my parents worked a ton, and I had a medically complex sister who's, you know, just 3 years younger than me. So I think it was really easy for my autistic traits to kind of slide under the radar. And then as I've gotten older, there would just be times where, you know, I would have issues and I would just chalk it up to like, this is just life. This is just, everybody struggles like this. It's just this hard for everybody. And the simple answer is that that's just not true. So very recently, I was in counseling with my husband and our therapist, and I had mentioned a couple of things to her that kind of made her pause and ask me some more specific questions. Specifically, I had talked about something called delayed processing that I didn't even know was a thing. I just thought that that's how my brain did things. I joked to her that my husband's brain is like a brand new 2024 Tesla model, and my brain is like a 1991 dial-up box Windows computer, you know, the kind that came in those big cow boxes, and that my brain will eventually solve the problem or will eventually find the answer. It's just going to take me a lot longer, like 7 to 10 business days, a lot longer than it's going to take him. So I had mentioned that, and then I had mentioned to her a couple of other sensory things that I have about some hearing issues that don't have an explainable medical reason, and just a couple of other things. And she asked me, have you ever taken any kind of quiz or anything about being a highly sensitive person? And I said, well, no, not really. No, not really. No, I hadn't. So she sent me the quiz, and she said it's out of 30 questions, and any score over 15 means that you're really kind of up there on the sensitivity scale. So I took the quiz, and I sent her a message almost immediately because I got my score, and I scored a 23 out of 30. So her response back was, you know, it's kind of up there. And the next, like another quiz was like suggested after I took that one. That was the autism, let's see, what is it called exactly? The autism spectrum quotient, the AQ. And I took it, and while I'm taking it and I'm reading these questions and I'm thinking like, okay, do these things not bother other people? Or are these different for me than other people? And it was like taking that quiz for the first time was like a light bulb had just kind of like ding gone off above my head that maybe I am on the spectrum. I'd never truly considered it before. I do have a little niece who's autistic, but I had just never considered it for myself before. So I took the AQ quiz. My husband, he actually said, Amanda, I know that before our appointment today, you had said you had some things on your to-do list that you needed to get done. So why don't you take like 10 to 15 minutes to do this quiz that you want to do, and then get on your list so that you can sit down and relax later on tonight. And I'm hearing him say this, but in my head, like, I'm just going right off the cliff down the rabbit hole. And I wound up sitting in our room for like an hour and a half that night, taking every quiz that I could get my hands on online. And each one I just kept scoring up there. I kept scoring, well within the margin for autistic traits. So I came downstairs that night and I kind of like told him, I think I'm autistic. I think I might be on the autism spectrum. And that rabbit hole of that night turned into almost like immediate research mode. I did want to share with you what I scored on the AQ. I did send this quiz to both my sister, who has an autistic daughter, and my husband to see what they scored. So this particular quiz is for adults who are over 16 who have an average or higher intelligence. And it is a self-administered questionnaire used to measure autistic traits with IQ in the normal range. So the scoring for this one, the threshold score is a 26. So scores that are 26 or higher indicate that you might be autistic, and lower scores than 25 mean that you likely are not. So 79.3% of autistic people score a 32 or higher. Most non-autistic females score a 15 on average. So like I said, I had my husband and my sister take this as kind of something to compare my score to, like within the realm of people that I know. I scored a 35, which is really up there. My sister, who is the mother of an autistic daughter, she scored a 22. And my husband scored a 12. So very different from my score of a 35. So yeah, the quizzes and the scores that I was getting is really what sent me, very rapidly from the rabbit hole that I was in into full-on research mode. And before I knew it, I was making a list. I had a giant list in my Google Docs that before I actually went to my formal assessment had grown to 8 pages in length. So just like every time that I would see something on YouTube or on social media or in an article that I was reading that resonated with me, I would just add it to my list, and my list grew and grew and grew and grew. So soon after that, I decided, I kind of made the determination that I was autistic, that I was self-diagnosing and saying that I have all of these traits. I have a lot of these traits, and some of them really cause me to struggle, and some of them make things very difficult for me and give me a lot of anxiety. And it literally in my head just felt like a gear clicking into place, or just like something felt really right. I haven't come across many labels in my life that just fit, but this one did. Very similar to like when I finally identified that I was actually an introvert and not an extrovert. When I labeled myself as an atheist, like there were just certain labels that just click into place. And this to me felt like one. It felt like it fit. So shortly after that, I decided that I wanted to pursue a formal diagnosis. And I know that this is a really challenging thing for people in other parts of the country, and especially for other countries out there. I'm in Mississippi in America. For me, the most difficult part was finding a psychologist who would assess adults. So there were lots of places around here that I could go and get assessed at, or that I thought that I could go and get assessed at. But once I started calling them, they would say, oh no, we only assess up to 7 or up to 12 or up to 16. And I'm 36, so obviously I didn't fit inside of any of that. And then the second piece was that I wanted to be able to use my insurance to have the assessment done, because I've met my out-of-pocket maximum for this year, because I'm going to tell you in another video all about my scoliosis and my spinal cord stimulator that I had implanted. So I really wanted to use the benefits of my insurance. So those were the two biggest I guess, barriers for me to finding a psychologist. But once I did find one, I knew that I should ask about a wait list and be put on a cancellation list. So that was one of, that was like the third thing that I asked. Like, do you assess adults? Do you take my insurance? Do you have a waiting list? And she told me that yes, they did have a waiting list, but she set me up for an appointment and got me in within 3 weeks. So I was, really stunned by that. Like, a waiting list doesn't seem like it's only a couple weeks long to me anyways. So I was super excited about that, about being able to get in very quickly. And in another video, actually, I'm going to talk more about like the assessment process itself and what that looked like with a psychologist. But today I'm just kind of talking about from ideation that I might be on the spectrum to today. So the 3 weeks went by. I kept doing more reading, more building of that list. That 8-page list did not happen overnight. Kept building and putting that together. And just talking. I talked a lot with my little sister about my own childhood, about her raising her own daughter, and just like some similarities where, she would say like, oh yeah, I could totally see how that situation with our mom was very challenging for you and her, because if I did that with my daughter, she would completely shut down. She would stop hearing me. She would just freeze. And I had experiences like that as a child that I just didn't have words for. I had no idea. So waited for the 3 weeks, went to my assessment, and then had to wait another week to go back for the report and the psychologist's opinion. And he did formally diagnose me autistic. I am on the autism spectrum. And two of the things that he talked about the most about my report had to do with anxiety and irritability. I spent maybe a year or a little over a year, a while back, doing some therapy on, with some anxiety issues that I was experiencing. So for me, that really felt like a strong answer that, well, you're not just an anxious person, or you're not feeling more anxiety than is average or normal. You're an autistic person who's trying to fit into this world that's not built for you and that's causing you anxiety. And that kind of flow pattern made so much sense to me. The irritability even made sense to me because I would describe myself as an irritable person. It just is what it is. So I left that appointment that day feeling kind of vindicated, honestly. Like the way I have described it is that I feel like I have an answer to a question that I have never known the words to ask for before. I didn't know how to ask this question, because I just didn't know. So it feels, like I said, like a gear has shifted into place. Like I have an answer to my traits, to my behaviors, to how I get overstimulated, to my hearing issues, to some of my physical issues, to my delayed processing. Like all of those things exist underneath the umbrella of my autism. And even though I'm 36 now and probably could have used a lot more support than I've gotten in my life up until this point, I have the rest of my life now to learn about myself and learn how to support myself and show myself self-care and self-love and compassion, and not try to push myself to exist inside of a box that's just not made for me. It's just not who I am. So it's kind of bittersweet's not really the right word, but it's exciting to me. I think that any amount of self-knowledge and self-awareness that we can have is a good thing and an important thing. The more that we know about ourselves, the better care we can take care of ourselves. That didn't make a lot of sense, but it's okay. Here we are. Anyways, so I decided to make this YouTube channel to kind of talk about the intersections of all of these big pieces in my life, autism and scoliosis. I have severe unfused scoliosis. I homeschool my 3 sons. As you can see behind me, I'm actually recording in our homeschool room, and I work as a realtor. So I plan on using this channel to spread awareness about both autism and about scoliosis and information, and then also just talk about what it means to be this type of person, to be an autistic homeschooling mother, to work in real estate and have to manage the physical demands of my job, through the lens of my autism and of my scoliosis, of just my back's ability. So I hope that you enjoyed this video today. Please like, comment, subscribe, all the things. Like I said earlier, I may be newer to YouTube, but you're not, and you know what to do. So anyways, I'm gonna hop off here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.